represent that swag, that MEAG. And let me say, what's up to
This is Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Randy King starting the role in place of Charles Bishop and Mike Washington as they are out on assignment, Coach Simmons. I'm not sure what that means or what that is, but trust me, they say they are taking care of business, so we should see. With that being said, as you see, and as you know, we have Coach Willie Simmons. He's the head football coach at Florida A&M, but let me make sure I put some respect on it, as they say. He is the SWAC champion and representative of the SWAC for the 2023 Celebration Bowl. I asked you this earlier during the press conference, but now we have viewers here, so I'll just ask it again as we get started. Coach, how does it feel? Has it sunk in? Yes, I get is the question.
Well, I wouldn't say it's sunk in. Obviously, Rattler Nation is let me know at every turn that they're excited about where we are as a program, and this football team has accomplished a lot this year, and but we know the work's not done. So while we're excited to be in this situation, we got one more to go, and so I'll really get excited if once we close things out next Saturday in Mercedes-Benz.
That's the coach I know, Coach Willie Shotgun Simmons. That's the coach I know. Business is not done. It's too early to celebrate. We got work to do. And I could see that focus level. I could literally see that in the SWAC championship game. You know, I text you and do that and certainly understand that you're a very busy man. And I messed with you today and said, hey, man, you ain't returned my text. I sent you congratulations. I'm moving so fast. You did send that one, but I'm thinking about the one before that going into the game, and I knew coach's focus. You know, as a Prairie View guy, I must admit, I was like, oh, we're in trouble. He's already good if he's not focused, but he's focused, it might be game over, set match. And you don't even play, but it goes like that. But before we get into questions, I just, I'm fascinated in history. You talked about not being a historian, but you dropped some historic dimes on folks. I thought that was pretty sweet the way you kind of backdoored that. You do have your degree in marketing there, as you remind a lot of folks. They don't quite understand it. You put athlete, the student in student athlete. I like to say college athlete. You put it in there. But when the Celebration Bowl started in 2015, you actually were starting your head football career, which happened to be at Prairie View in 2015. This is coming off of 2014, where you were the offensive coordinator at Alcorn State, the Braves, where you won that championship, but there was no Celebration Bowl. You're literally starting that, and if it wasn't for a shootout that didn't quite go your way against Grambling in the State Fair Classic Cotton Bowl, you could have had Prairie View. And I say that not to revisit history, but the fact history has its own timing for everything. And you went to FAMU, had to build some things up, and look at you now. You're back in a championship position to play for a Cricket Celebration Bowl. Out of the SWAC still, but with the program that moved over from the MEAC to the SWAC. Just the synergy and all that. Have you had the time to think about that? I know that you respect that kind of history, so I imagine some spaces you kind of dig all that and you're like, wow, it's crazy.
Well, I do think about the full circle aspect of all of this. Like you said, started my head coaching career the first year of the Celebration Bowl. And being really one game away from much of my coaching career, one game away in 15 at Prairie View, one game away my first year at FAMU in 18, one game away the last 2 years. And so 4 of my really 7 years leading programs, 8 years total, but I guess one season didn't count because of COVID. I've been one game away. And so to finally get over the hump, to finally be in this position with this football team, is a truly special moment for me personally, but also for this institution, because we have been right there on the cusp for so long, and now we're finally here. So, yeah, I mean, there are a lot of storylines with this game and how it ties to different moments throughout my coaching career. But again, it's surreal. And like I said, I'll take time to kind of reflect on it when it's all said and done. And I'm sure I'll really appreciate it a little bit more then. But like I said, right now, it's just too much work to be done to to kind of sit there and bask in the enjoyment of being SWAC champs and getting prepared for a Celebration Bowl.
I like that. 1 year away, one game away. Now I'm here. Finish the business. I like that. I like to put that on a T-shirt. Brandon, go ahead and ask a follow-up question.
Okay. Oh, good. I thought I was still muted. How you doing, Coach?
Brandon, how you doing, man? I see you got some lighting this time. I'm proud of you.
I was gonna mention that to make sure y'all could see me. It looked like I'm not down in the back cave trying to do interviews here. But you kind of mentioned it just a minute ago. You know, being one game away for all of those years, and then this year, kind of getting over the hump, getting to the Celebration Bowl. Does it still feel like you're one game away? You know, because you've mentioned, in the words of the late great Kobe Bryant, job not finished. So do you still have that feeling heading into this week?
Well, not necessarily the same feeling, because unlike those years, we control our own destiny. You know, in each of those years that were mentioned, aside from my first year at FAMU, we lost an early game in conference. You know, my first year at PV, I think the State Fair Classic was our third conference game. And we lost that shootout to Grambling, as Doc alluded to. And then we won the rest of our games. You know, the last 2 years, we lost the first game of the season against Jackson State and won the rest of our games after that. And so the fact that, you know, for many of those years, we were, quote unquote, playing from behind, it is a different feeling, because this time we do control our own destiny. You know, we don't have to look at scores. We don't have to worry about anyone helping us. We control what happens. And that's a great feeling to be in. It's something that we talk to our team about all the time. And we want to keep that as long as we can. So that's the biggest difference. We're not relying on anyone else, but what we do as a football team, and that ultimately determines our outcome.
I want to follow that up in terms of the bowl game. What will you lean on in terms of experiences, past experiences, whether that was as a player? Obviously, you had the time at Middle Tennessee State. I'm not sure if they were doing bowling at that time. But what will you lean in terms of your preparation for this bowl game? And it's unique from the standpoint that it actually will crown HBCU national champion.
Well, I've been fortunate throughout my playing and coaching career. You know, I played in 4 bowl games. I was a part of 4 bowl games as a collegiate athlete at Clemson. I was blessed to be able to coach in 2 bowl games there at Middle Tennessee, you know, doing my time there. And so being a part of 6 bowl experiences, along with many members of my staff who've also been a part of bowls, I think that unique experience will help us prepare our guys mentally for what they're about to encounter. You know, the Orange Blossom Classic, I think, does a great job of trying to create a bowl-type environment, bringing the teams down days early, having luncheons and different events for the guys, much like a bowl will. And so we're not unfamiliar with that setup, but this is the first time, obviously, that we'll do it at the end of the season with a national championship on the line. And so, you know, just the discipline that our guys will need. It's a business trip. But you also want to make sure that you allow the guys to enjoy the experience of being in a bowl. And so we'll arrive Wednesday, and that will be really the night to kind of let the hair down a little bit. But once we get into Thursday, we'll get back into our preparation and really focus and lock in on the task at hand. You know, but again, I think the experiences that we've all had as being a part of bowls will bode well for us next weekend.
Follow-up question to that is, as I know you're on the move, and so we're going to make sure that you can get back to it as you're trying to get home to get starting on a lot of that preparation. If you would, in terms of the early preparation, because I know you always do that and prepare for that, what are some of the key things that we need to watch or consider as media folks to share with the public in regards to key components of this matchup?
Well, again, I think if you look at both teams throughout the course of our season, we really established our identities as who we are. You know, I think Howard has been a team that has been a very physical team all year. They've gone toe-to-toe with a Big 12 team, with a Mid-Atlantic team out of the MAC, and played extremely well against both teams. You know, they beat the reigning HBCU national champs handily by being physical and being able to run the football. And so that's something that we have to be prepared for. You know, I think our time and experience in the MEAC of having to play that physical brand of ball late in the season will help us, but at the end of the day, I think it's going to come down to a test of wills. Their will to run the football and be physical, our will to stop the run and be just as, if not more, physical. And so I think that's one of the biggest games within the game, like you like to say. And again, they have the top passing defense in the country, and we've been able to throw the football extremely well all season. And so there's some the old adage, what happens when an unstoppable force meets an immovable object, and something has to give. And so we'll see which one gives on the 16th, and we got to prepare to make sure that we're not the one that gives in and that we continue to play our brand of football.
No doubt. Brandon, you have a follow-up question?
Yeah, Coach. You just mentioned, obviously, it does in some ways kind of have an old MEAC feel to the game, and you've mentioned that familiarity that you have in terms of coaching in that league. Is there any, do you have any players that's left on within the team who was actually still there prior to you all coming to the SWAC? And if so, have those guys been able to have to communicate the experience of that type of physical brand of football to your ball club?
Well, we have a few guys that are still on the team that were members of the MEAC. We have 4 individuals from our inaugural class in 18 that are still members, and then we have a lot of guys from that freshman class of 19 that are still members of this team when we were in the MEAC. And so, we haven't talked in detail about, what MEAC style of football is. At the end of the day, we pride ourselves on being a physical football team, right? You don't have the top defense in the country, one of the nation's top run defenses, if you're not physical. And so we don't have to necessarily compare our league to their league or, their style of play to our style of play. Again, when you play championship football, it's about physically imposing your will. And that's something that we've talked about since day one. And so we'll watch the film. We'll try to get an idea of how physical they are. Obviously, we'll see it firsthand come kickoff. But again, I don't think we need to make too much of their MEAC team, and we've been. I think that's a media storyline more than it is a reality. And we're going to just focus on being FAMU. And if we're FAMU, we've proven that we're good enough to get the job done as long as we play our style of football.
Yes, I hear that quiet confidence. I know you all do say around those parts you brag differently, so I guess it makes sense. With that being said, get you out of here on this one. Any last comments that you want to leave your fans or just in general, folks out there to consider in terms of this big time matchup, number 1 versus number 2?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a great representation, like Coach Powell and I talked about today, of Black excellence. I think this game, it's a Celebration Bowl, and it represents all that is excellence in HBCUs, not just these 2 respective programs, but all of us. So it's a celebration of HBCU excellence. It's a celebration of the history, the long history of what these institutions have done for hundreds of years, of the marching bands, of the alum, of everything that makes these places special. That's why I'm excited that we're playing in the Celebration Bowl, because we do get to celebrate that rich history that we have. And so it's a game for everyone. It's not just for FAMU fans. It's not just for Howard fans. It's for anyone who's a fan of great football, but also a fan of HBCUs and the impact that we've had and continue to have on this world. And so I'm excited to be a part of it. I look forward to representing the number 1 public HBCU in the country. And, again, proud to represent a great group of young men who embody excellence with caring in all aspects.
Man, resume looks deep in terms of this season, just how talented this team is. For everybody to consider this, I know, again, this is a media thing. I just want to put it out here. I have FAMU as number 1. Obviously, most people have had them ranked as number 1 or number 2 all year long in regards to either them or Central. But thus far, you've taken down number 4. You beat them twice. You've taken down number 6. It's Alabama State in the poll rankings. Jackson State, number 7. And number 8, Southern in regards to that. So just the measure of the accolades that this team has accomplished in regards to those wins, so people have maybe a little way to quantify it, I think that makes a statement. I know that's beyond where you want to go. It's just winning one more game, but I wanted to put it out there just to have people have an understanding of how big this is. And then the next matchup is against number 2, so it should be a good one. With that being said, Coach Simmons, we'll let you go catch your flight. Again, I want to say thank you. Look forward to next week, and we'll catch up a little more and dig into some more questions as we get ready for the Cricket Celebration Bowl next Saturday. It should be a good one.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. Look forward to seeing everyone, and go Rattlers.
This is Dr. Mills inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Mike Washington, Charles Bishop are on assignment. Coach Scott, they seem to always find themselves on assignment, but they're telling me they're taking care of business. I don't know. I keep looking at them a whole payroll, but we're going to see how we make it work. With that being said, how you doing, Coach Scott?
I'm doing well. Just getting ready for the big game here in a week, but doing some media stuff, getting that behind us so then we can get to the really get in the lab. Like you're in the lab, Doc, get in the lab and get back to work.
I like that. I see how you know how to play on the words. You like the intro. I see that. With that being said, welcome to episode 467 of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab, radio show and podcast, the show that's covering the sporting HBCU dash for all things HBCU sports for institutions large and small. From the NAIA to the NCAA, we share insights and information on the HBCU sports culture, HBCU athletic aesthetics to facilitate the story of HBCU athletic programs and the business of HBCU sports. For short, we just call it HBCU sports pedagogy. I'm your host, Dr. Cavil, along with my co-host, Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. As I said, they're out on assignment, but I have none other than the protege, him, ourselves, Brandon King, coming in here doing his thing. We're filming from our home studios and sending a signal live to KCOH 1230 AM studios with the Texas Radio Hall of Famer, multi-Hall of Famer that is Ralph Cooper, in a beautiful home at Texas Southern University from Houston, Texas. Today's episode of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab is sponsored by THG Agency, LLC. THG Agency is a company that provides sporting, educational, and data analytics. With that being said, without further ado, let me bring back on our special guest. We got a special show. We're going to bring in the coaches that are playing for a championship. I have them ranked number 1 and number 2 in Dr. Ville's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. With that being said, we have none other than Coach Scott, champions of the MEAC. Coach,
Yes, sir. Yes,
how
sir.
does it feel? How does it feel?
Man, it feels great. But you know, like I said earlier, it's just kind of just settle in. You know, we were kind of been busy. We got right back to work, got right back at it with recruiting and all that good stuff. And then after this weekend's game and watching the SWAC championship, let that thing settle out and see that we got the Florida A&M Rattlers. It kind of got, kind of hit home and got real. So it was time to, wrap up the recruiting weekend and get back in the lab. Like I said, Doc, and start getting to work on trying to see if we can bring home a championship.
Man, you're tireless. I see you making it work. As you said, you're in the middle of the business, watching the game, which means you're celebrating HBCU sports, but you putting work in there as you're doing recruiting. That's a powerful statement that it just doesn't stop. But,
Yes, sir.
Coach, I like to go a little bit in terms of the history and connect back. And I know at some point you'll have real time to do it, but I'm going to see if I can take you back just a little bit.
Okay.
Spring
All right, let's do it.
2020. Spring 2020. COVID.
Yes, sir.
You take over the program, the world gets shut down, but you get a chance to play 2 games in the spring. Supposed to be a couple more, some get shut out. And unfortunately, as the world would have it, you went 0-2. Can you talk about going from 0-2 in a COVID environment? All of us don't know what is going on. We're trying to really figure it out, literally figure it out as we go, to the point now that next Saturday, you will be playing for a national championship, HBCU national champion, the Cricket Celebration Bowl. Talk about
Absolutely,
reflecting
Doc.
just a little bit.
Yeah, as you described it out and those things, it does take you back. And I'll take it all the way back a little bit further than you. Taking the job in February of 2020, before we even got to spring. I took the job. I get there in February, right after the national signing date. I stayed on at the University of Florida until we had completed that recruiting class. A couple days later, I'm in Washington, D.C., trying to settle out what we're going to do here. And in March, right when we're getting ready to get started with our first true spring ball, the world shuts down, right? And literally, our kids went home for spring break. The plan was to let them go home for spring break, come back, and we're going to start our first spring. And lo and behold, we never came back. We never showed up. I didn't see our team or that football team until 11 months later. Well, not 11 months later. So let's go February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. Yeah, almost 10 months later, 10 and a half months later. We were doing everything virtual. We would have meetings just like we were going through a regular football season at Mondays at 2:30, kicking game. We had 6 opponents that we virtually game planned out, and we played a whole virtual season. And on Friday afternoons at 3 o'clock was game day for us. And we would have game day questions and put on, the film up on a monitor and ask the guy, what's his alignment, what's his assignment, what's his technique. And we did that for 6 games. And we played out, actually, the MEAC championship game and played out the scenario of one day being in the Celebration Bowl and did the whole thing. We played the Celebration Bowl, and that wrapped up our virtual season. Tried to come back again, like you said, in the spring. We tried to play a spring season in the dead winter of D.C., snow on the ground. I know nothing about snow, Doc. I don't know how to get, snow off the ground. We don't have removers on the turf. There were days we practiced, days we didn't get to practice, days we were completely shut down for 10 days and put into quarantine and all of those different things. And I didn't know one of these kids from Adam other than what we had done, virtual in the virtual space as we got to know them and them get to know us and our staff and standard and expectations. So we were actually just shooting from the hip. I think before we played that first game, we might have had 14 practices under our belt before we just gave it a whim and just said, I don't care what the results of this is going to be. I got to figure out what we have here. Who can play a little bit, who can do some things and all. We just needed to figure it out. And took 2 losses under the chin there to, a team that actually had their team. They were at least able to lift and meet and be around each other and do those type of things. And some of them even practice. We didn't have that. But I knew we needed to find out what we were made of and what our personnel looked like and all those type of things as we moved into the 21 season, in which we only won 3 games in that season but I knew we were building something special with this young base, a young football team that we have to really develop. We don't go to the transfer portal. We don't bring in a whole bunch of guys that, play at other places and those type of things. We have to develop better than anybody else. And we pride ourselves in that. And so, you go through the 21 season, you win 3 games. You go through the next season following that, 22 season, and you tie for a conference title. You tie for it, and you lose a head-to-head match to North Carolina Central that went on to win the Celebration Bowl. And then a year from there, you win it outright. And now we have a chance to go play for it. So we like to refer to it in our time here, since we've had 3 complete cycles, 21, 22, and 23. We basically went, we played for 2 championships in the 3-year cycle since we've been here. So we're proud of what we've done here. And we know we still got a lot of work to do. There's more to be done, but like where we are right now.
Great points. I'm glad that you took us back. Wow, it's kind of hard to really encapsulate that. And you really did that. Brandon, get in here and ask a follow-up question. You're on mute.
There we go. Good evening, Coach. How you doing?
I'm doing well. How you doing, my man?
I'm doing great. You mentioned just a minute ago, you were talking about as you were building your program, you don't really look to the portal in terms of bringing in talent. So obviously you look to more of the high school ranks. And in looking at that, does that mean since the portal is not really something that you kind of look at, do you have even more of a discerning eye in terms of outlining not only the type of talent that you want for your program, but also the type of young men that you want to shape into your program as well?
Absolutely. I mean, it's Howard University, right? You have to make sure, that, they match the culture and the profile here academically. It can handle the academic rigors of what Howard is, but also we got to find guys that love football, that love every aspect of playing the game, not like it. We kind of changed the rhetoric around here from I go to Howard and I play football to I play football at Howard. And multiple things can be true at the same time. So, going out and really profiling the other great programs, that's one of the great things. I leaned in on some of my experience and background recruiting in the SEC throughout the Southeast and over on the West Coast a little bit and through the Metroplex of Dallas and through the Metroplex area of Atlanta, and kind of know some of those coaches and profiles of programs where actually, academics are important, but playing football is pretty doggone important too. And those are the type of kids that are going to fit what we build at Howard and how we're going to do it. And we're going to have to do it with high school kids because the transfer deal kind of don't work out with transferable credits for a lot of guys trying to transfer in here to Howard. So we have to make sure we don't miss. We have to do a very good job in recruiting. And that's why we're still very much so developmental in every aspect of what we do. We watch a ton of film on high school guys. We spend a lot of time discussing our recruiting board and who fits and who doesn't fit. And we can going to fall into the profile, but that love football. And they're going to help us make a difference because we understand that we're not going to be able to fill in holes like that. We can mess with the graduate transfers a little bit that actually finish someplace, but I even like doing that if I'm going to take a transfer. At least a young man went to someplace and he finished the assignment, right? He's not bringing his issues or bringing with the issues of why he didn't finish the 4-year period of time at the university he originally chose, right? This young man stuck it out. He finished. He has 2 years of eligibility, and now he wants to spend his post-grad time at Howard University and earn a postgraduate degree from Howard University. And most of those young men come in here, and they're very serious about that opportunity. They're not here just to play football for a semester or two. They're here to play football, help us win championships, but also obtain post-grad education, right? Whether it's an MBA, whether it's another master's degree in finance and those type of things where they understand the big picture value of what they bring. And so those guys are a little bit more mature, a little bit more seasoned, and they add a lot to sometimes a young locker room, a young talented locker room, but them guys give them a lot of perspective. So we have good balance that way with what we're doing, but we pride ourselves in how we recruit, how we profile, how hard we work at it. And then once we get our kids here, doing a great job of setting up our programming from January to January that is very much so built around shaping the mind, shaping the body, and shaping the spirit and purpose and passion of why you play here at Howard. So we really, I guess, pride ourselves in higher education. And the higher education piece of that is football for us.
Good stuff, Coach. I heard you talking about the Dallas Metroplex and Houston. I done told you before. I know we don't want to get you in no trouble, so don't get into the politics. You got enough folks in D.C. to do that for you.
Yeah, that's right.
Right.
That's right.
Sometimes they talk about bringing a wall down here. I said, don't worry about the wall. Just put up an invisible fence to keep some of these HBCU coaches out of Texas.
No. I promise you, my friend, we're gonna come through there. That's an area that you find the right schools and right system that they relieve in academics. They do well in school, and they can also play a little football. They can run and do all those type of things too. So no, we're gonna spend some time in there, my friend.
Well, promise this part. Next time you're in Houston, just call me up. We can go to lunch, and maybe I can negotiate it that way.
Absolutely, we'll do that.
In all seriousness, let's get back to this game. We done talked about all the outside stuff, and we'll get a chance, and that'll be some of the filler for the week, getting up into it. But for these football people that watch the show here, they really want to get into some of the X's and O's. From your perspective, in terms of this matchup, give us some insight on some things that we should consider that might not necessarily come out this week from your perspective.
I mean, I think really the biggest one is just really how good that Florida A&M football team is. They've got it's speed all over the field at all positions. Their athleticism, speed, and the biggest thing that you find when you're watching it, they're really well coached. Man, if they're playing, with whatever we perceive to be the front and coverage, that's what you see. Guys are where they're supposed to be, and when they're not, they have the speed and athleticism to recover. And like I said, they have a bunch of guys on their defense, especially that are erasers. Even when they're wrong, they can make themselves right because of the speed, athleticism, and they're real physical. So I think it's going to be a physical football game, more physical than what most people may think it would be. And they got skill and talent. The quarterback, I think, is really good. I know sometimes people have had their brothers on, but he is a SWAC player of the year. And he's very productive in what they do offensively, and they have a multitude of backs to get the ball to. They have a tight end that I think is probably one of the better tight ends. I think he can play anywhere in the country when you turn on the tape and watch him, and his size and athleticism and run after the catch ability and those type of things. So between those backs, the tight end, the quarterback, they definitely got enough talent and skill on the offensive side of the ball to cause you some problems and score a lot of points. And defensively, man, they're the number one defense in FCS for a reason. I mean, all you have to do is turn on the tape and you'll see that. So we're going to have to play, our style of play. We're going to have to make it a physical game, do some things when we take our shots. And when we want to put the ball on the ground and turn it into a little bit of a bar fight, we're going to need to be able to do that and inflict our will on it to make sure we have the type of success that we want to have. So it is definitely going to be a game played through strategy. It's not just going to go out there and just kind of wing it and just play football. I think we're going to have to continue as we continue to prepare and game plan. Continue to find some of the weaknesses and those type of things and matchups that we can exploit and tilt the odds in our favor a little bit. But I think this is going to be a really, really good football game that's going to be enjoyable. It's going to be worth the ticket. I hope everybody is definitely in the building on time. It don't need to be a slow start because I don't think it's going to be that. I don't think if you're behind and in the seat at 12 o'clock, you're going to miss something exciting probably right off the week. So I encourage everybody to fill up this place real quick and real fast. We're going to see two really good football teams, I think, go at it a little bit.
You don't have to tell me twice. I'll be in there. I'll be ready. In fact, we're going to do a show in there pregame. So make sure y'all tune up for BCSC. And so we'll be there well ahead of time. We might sneak out to see some of the stuff outside. But we're going to be right back in there before things get started. With that being said, Brandon, you have a quick question you want to ask before we let Coach get out of here and get back to the business of football?
Yes, sir. Coach, just wanted to ask you real quick about your run game. It's been one of the areas that you've been able to, kind of butter your bread on. Can you talk about, the running game and the stable of running backs that you bring into the game on the 16th?
I'll tell you what, that's something that we pride ourselves on. Right from day one, we're going to talk about the toughness mentality that's built through understanding that when we need to win football games, when we need to have things happen and go our way, when we want to try to control the game, we're going to control it on the ground. And that's just coming from my mindset, my philosophy as a former offensive lineman. So that's kind of ingrained in everybody, the receivers, the tight ends, the backs, the O-line, the coaching staff, our defense. We're going to run the football when we need to. Now, we have a plethora of talented guys on the outside, too, on the perimeter. Casey Hawthorne, Deshaun Hezekiah, Richie Lazar, and a host of other guys, our tight end, young tight end, Gavin Harris, and backs who are want to come alive in the come alive. He's out of Texas area, too. That come alive out in the passing game on the perimeter. So, we can definitely expose you in that area too. So we pride ourselves on being very balanced. And I think if anybody goes and pull the numbers, we're pretty balanced, right down the middle of, the amount of runs and amount of passes that we do in our system. So we want to stay balanced, but we want to make sure that the run game is emphasized so that we have the right mindset, and mentality.
Well, thank you, Coach. Before we let you out of there, any last words you want to share with your alumni fans, or just in general to HBCU sports fans out there?
I think just for our fans and alumni, it's time. It's time to turn the tables a little bit and get everybody excited about what we're building here. I said from the very beginning when I came here, I didn't want to build a good football team. I wanted to build a program here at Howard where year in and year out, we're in this picture and we're competing to be in Atlanta and playing for this and playing in Celebration Bowl year in and year out. But we need them. We need everybody. We need the support, not only just financially, but we need the support to just be around, be in the building, add noise, bring that 12th element, so this 12th man element, so to speak, as we continue to build this program, because we're more than capable here at Howard. And we're capable of building a juggernaut. We're capable of building something really special that everybody, wants to be a part of, whether that's recruiting, whether that's other alum, whether that's media, TV cameras, whatever the case may be. And knowing that we do have a special product and we do have a special brand, let's get to it. Let's get to work. Let's go build this thing.
No doubt about it, Coach. Again, we'll let you get back to it. I appreciate you spending your time. Great comments today in the MEAC, in the Cricket Celebration Bowl media conference earlier. Look forward to next week.